Good evening, everyone, and a Merry December week to you all. As the sun sets on another year of the BBFL, so too does it set on one of our own. I'm speaking, of course, of and the team. At the end of this year, we'd like to take a moment to reflect both on what we've done this year and on past fantasy of football. And as we send them off into that good night, I'd like to take a moment to reflect on the man that we're leaving behind. And so, we present with you a semi-original work. But first, some ambiance. Ladies and gentlemen, BBFL Theater Productions would like to present The Raven.
Once upon a midnight dreary, while I pondered, weak and weary, over many a quaint and curious volume of forgotten lore, while I nodded, nearly napping, suddenly there came a tapping, as of someone gently rapping at my chamber door. "'Tis some visitor," I muttered, tapping at my chamber door. Only this, and nothing more. Distinctly I remember, it was in the bleak December, and each separate dying ember wrought its ghost upon the floor. Eagerly I wished the morrow, vainly I'd sought to borrow from my books a crease of sorrow, sorrow for the lost Gizmore, for the rare and radiant maiden whom the angels name Gizmore, nameless here forevermore. And the silken sad and certain rustling of each vigil candle thrilled me, filled me with fantastic terrors never felt before, so that now, to still the beating of my heart, stood repeating, "'Tis some visitor entreating entrance at my chamber door, some late visitor entreating entrance at my chamber door. This it is, and nothing more." Presently my soul grew stronger, hesitating then no longer. "Sir," said I, "or madam, surely your forgiveness I implore, but the fact is I was napping, and so gently you came rapping, and so faintly you came tapping at my chamber door, that I scarce was sure I heard you." Here I opened wide the door. Darkness there, and nothing more. Deep into that darkness peering, long I stood there wondering, fearing, doubting, dreaming dreams no mortal ever dared to dream before. But the silence was unbroken, and the stillness gave no token, and the only word there spoken was the whispered word Gizmore. This I whispered, and an echo murmured back the word Gizmore. Merely this, and nothing more. Back into the chamber turning, all my soul within me burning, soon again I heard a tapping somewhat louder than before. "Surely," said I, "surely that is something at my window lattice. Let me see then what thereat is, and this mystery explore. Let my heart be still a moment, and this mystery explore. 'Tis the wind, and nothing more." Open here I flung the shutter, when with many a flirt and flutter, in there stepped a stately gringo of the saintly days of yore. Not the least obeisance matey, not a minute stopped or stady, but with mind of Lord or Benny perched above the cups of legend, perched upon a bust of Benny just above the cups of lore, perched and sat, and nothing more. Then this ebony bird beguiling my sad fancy into smiling, by the grave and stern decorum of the countenance it wore. "Thou thy crest be shorn and shaven, thou," I said, "art sure no craven, ghastly grim and ancient gringo wandering from the nightly shore. Tell me what thy lordly name is on the night's Plutonian shore." Quoth the gringo, "Nevermore." Much I marveled this ungainly fowl to hear discourse so plainly, though its answer little meaning, little relevancy bore. For we cannot help agreeing that no living human being ever yet was blessed with seeing bird above his cups of lore, bird or beast upon the sculptured bust above his shrine adorned, with such name as Nevermore. But the gringo, sitting lonely on that placid bust, spoke only that one word, as if his soul in that one word he did outpour. Nothing farther that he uttered, not a feather than he fluttered, till I scarcely more than muttered, "Other friends have flown before. On the morrow he will leave me as the cups have flown before." Then the bird said, "Nevermore." Startled at the stillness broken by reply so aptly spoken, "Doubtless," said I, "what it utters is its only stock and store, caught for some unhappy master, whom unmerciful disaster followed fast and followed faster, till his songs one burden bore, till the dirges of his hope that melancholy burden bore of never, nevermore." But the gringo still beguiling on my fancy into smiling, straight I wheeled a cushioned seat in front of bird and shrine and Benny. Then, upon the velvet sinking, I betook myself to linking fancy unto fancy, thinking what this ominous bird of yore, what this grim, ungainly, ghastly, gaunt, and ominous bird of yore meant in croaking, "Nevermore." This I sat engaged in guessing, but no syllable expressing, to the fowl whose fiery eyes now burned into my bosom's core. This and more I sat divining, with my head at ease reclining, on the cushion's velvet lining that the lamplight gloated o'er, but whose velvet violet lining with the lamplight gloating o'er, she shall press, ah, nevermore. Then methought the air grew denser, perfumed from an unseen censer, swung by Mannings whose footfalls tinkled on the cold turf floor. "Wretch," I cried, "thy goddess hath lent thee by these Mannings he has sent thee. Respite and nepenthe from thy memories of Gizmore. Quaff, oh quaff this kind nepenthe, and forget this lost Gizmore. Quoth the Gringo, nevermore. Prophet, said I, thing of evil, prophet still of bird or devil, whether Brady sent or whether tempest tossed thee here ashore, desolate yet all undaunted on this desert land enchanted, on this home by losing haunted, tell me, truly I implore, is there hope for Benny? Tell me, I implore. Quoth the Gringo, nevermore. Prophet, said I, thing of evil, prophet still a bird or devil, by that heaven that bends above us, by the goddess we both adore, tell this soul of sorrow laden within the distant Aden, it shall clasp a sainted maiden whom the angels name Gizmore, clasp a rare and radiant maiden whom the angels name Gizmore. Quoth the Gringo, nevermore. Be that word our sign of parting, bird or fiend, I shrieked upstarting, get thee back to town of York and the nice Plutonian shore, leave no black plume as a token of that lie thy soul has spoken, leave thy loneliness unbroken, quit the bust above these cups, take thy beak from out my heart, and take thy form from off my door. Quoth the Gringo, nevermore. And the Gringo, never flitting, still is sitting on the pallid cups of legend set upon my visual shore, and his eyes have all the seeming of a demon's that is dreaming, and the lamplight o'er him streaming throws his shadow on the floor. And my soul from out that shadow that lies floating on the floor shall be lifted nevermore.
Happy Decemberween, everybody. Merry Christmas. Happy Hanukkah. Go Boobs Division. Thank you.